Good morning, I'm Lauren Parker, and I'm very pleased to have the honor of introducing our featured speaker for today's breakfast, Dr. Ella L.J. Bell-Smith, and to tell you a little bit about her. As many of you know who've attended our previous celebration breakfast, we like to draw from the expertise of our own community, and this year is no exception. Dr. Bell-Smith joined the faculty of Dartmouth's Tuck School of Business a little more than 13 years ago after serving on the faculties of the University of North Carolina's Belk College of Business Administration, MIT's Sloan School of Management, Yale School of Management, and the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. It is particularly fitting that we're bringing Dr. Bell-Smith to you, an audience of Dartmouth's workforce. She holds a Ph.D. in organizational behavior from Case Western Reserve University, and she's widely recognized as an expert in organizational change and the management of race, gender, and class in organizational life. In addition to her teaching, research, and scholarship, she is the founder and president of Ascent, which is a national not-for-profit organization committed to the professional development and corporate career advancement of multicultural women. She has published widely in management journals and is the co-author of the critically acclaimed Our Separate Ways, Black and White Women and the Struggle for Professional Identity, and of Career GPS. So I know you are looking forward to her remarks as much as I am. And without further ado, please join me in welcoming Dr. Ella Bell-Smith.
Oh my gosh, I do a lot of public speaking, and I must admit I am nervous as all get out this morning. Whoa, this is an amazing honor to be with you. I'm just overwhelmed by it. I try to stay sort of hidden at Tuck. And you found me, and I don't know how you did that. I just don't know how you did that, but you did, and I'm so glad that you did. I thought long and hard about what I want to talk about. I love the title, Vigorousness and Positive Action, and I also love the fact that I am a part of Dartmouth's community, and that I am so proud to be at the Tuck School of Business. I am at Tuck because of Martin Luther King. And I'm real clear about that. My mother had a 6th grade education. My dad had an 8th grade education. I'm a girl from the South Bronx. And my father's idea of career advancement and career placement in those days, and I'm going to date myself, was for me to work at Bell Telephone. That to him was the status. That was the golden ring. And the motto in my house was, be sure that you can take care of yourself. There were no PhDs. There were no academics. There were no Yales. And there certainly were no Dartmouths. And I say that because without the civil rights movement, without what Martin Luther King Jr. and his collaborators did, I would not be standing here. When I was a little girl, there was a thing that we would do if you lived in the North, if you were black, and it was called going down south. Because all of us had grandparents, aunties, and uncles, I see you smiling, that lived down south. And in the summertime, you got this wonderful shoebox lunch. You got on Greyhound bus, and you went down south. And I remember my first time going down south. My mother's great aunt had cancer, and she was going to take care of her. She didn't trust me with my dad, so I went down south. The interesting thing, I was a precocious kid, and I was so excited when we got to Greyhound bus station. So thrilled to get there. Got on the bus, sat right up front, had this panoramic view, you know? Could see the driver, could see the right side, could see all around. I was just thrilled. So glad to eat the box lunch. Mom had made fried chicken, deviled eggs, and potato salad on a bus, no less, okay? What about food poisoning in those days, all right? Just think about it, all right? Just think about the combination. But it was mighty good, mighty good. We made a little stop, and somewhere during the course of the night, we passed this little magical line that I still can't find, the good old Mason-Dixon line. And we took our first long stop in Washington, D.C. So I popped off the bus. I was all excited and all thrilled, and it was time to, take a potty stop. And I remember following the women with my mother pretty close behind me. And as I entered the bathroom, my mother's hand went firmly on my shoulder. She said, "No, honey, not here." I so remember this. She pulled me, and we began to follow the other black women who were on the bus. We walked around the bus station to a muddy area, not too far off, to a shack. Had no big-time lights. It was muddy, no floor. There were stalls, no doors, no paper, and it smelled to high heavens. That was my first association, if you will, with down south, not recognizing the discrimination that took place up north, if we were to be brutally honest. I remember having a little protest. This was not the bathroom I was going to go to. And my mother was determined. So was I. As my mother went to the bathroom, I decided it was time for me to hit the road and head to that other bathroom, that kind of pristine, nice-smelling bathroom that had toilet paper and lights and a real tile floor. I was going to the white bathroom. I didn't know there was black and white in those days. I remember getting into the door, and the white women stopping and looking at me as if to say, "What are you doing here?" It was clear I had broken something. Wasn't quite sure what it was, but I knew I was in serious trouble. I felt another hand and a yank on my shoulder and my neck this time. My mom, she had come after me, and she was dragging me out of the bathroom. I kicked, I screamed, I yowled. I refused to go ever again in life. And one of the white women said, "Let her go." Never seen my mother, who was a very proud woman, be that humble and that apologetic. In my life, I had never seen my mother like that. Almost tears in her eyes, thanking this white woman to let me go to the bathroom. There was another shocker when I got on the bus. Instead of having my seat with a panoramic view, this time there was a new bus driver. He looked at my mother, looked at me, and told my mother, "Now you know you get on the back of the bus." You thought my protest in the bathroom was heavy? Woo! That was temper tantrum number 2. And I didn't have temper tantrums as a kid because my mother would kill me. But the reality of it was, that was my first trip down south. I think for me, being in a prestigious elite school is my way of getting back. I think for me, getting the Ph.D. was my way of proving myself. I remember when I told my mother I was going to Yale. It was my first academic position. Nobody asked me at Tuck. I would have come to here first, but nobody asked, okay? So don't be saying anything I was sold out, okay? Where's the football coach? I would have come here, all right? I'm clear about that. But I went to Yale. And I remember calling my mother, who was then 84, that I was going to Yale. And I just knew my mother would be so proud and so, hey, that's funny. Because no history of this in our family. I'm first generation. First generation means that you don't have a clue about what you're doing in these unbelievable elite institutions. We're my first generation people. Raise your hands. Right. There was no chatter at the dinner table about academic meetings or talks or books or any of that. So when I got the opportunity to go to Yale, I thought my mother would be elated. And my mother was kind of, that's nice. I was like, what? I said, Mommy, I got the job at Yale. That's nice. She changed the subject. I was like, wait a minute. You know me, I got a little attitude. I decided we would end the conversation, make it a brief talk that day. So I said, Mom, I got to go. When I hung up the phone, I was pretty frustrated, pretty angry, very disappointed. My mother called me the next day, and I was kind of chilly. It's like, hi, Mom. She said, I have something to tell you. I was like, yes. I went to the library today. I said, really? She said, yes. I didn't know what Yale was, so I went to the library and I asked that librarian what was Yale. It was the most humbling moment in my life. I will never forget it. Her next comment was even more powerful. I don't know why you're going to that school. I was like, huh? Who's gonna be there for you? There's nothing but rich white kids there. They're not gonna listen to you. All the black schools and you're going there? Are you crazy? I'm 84 years old. Who's gonna protect you? Who's gonna take care of you there? That told me a whole lot. I am of the generation that because of Martin Luther King Jr. and President Johnson, the chronic underachievers, I went to college. I am part of the generation that was able to get money to go to college. I'm part of the generation that was able to go to graduate school and get money for college. And just like part of my generation and most women, I started out as a school teacher. Because why? You're either a school teacher, a nurse, or a social worker. Academic was so far away. And medicine, I can't count, or science, so that kind of ruled that out. Second grade teaching, I could do. Can you imagine a girl from the South Bronx, first generation, coming to Tuck, coming to Dartmouth? I had some grave doubts coming here. I call it, to be honest with you, the president's gone, I can admit it, but Paul Danos knows this, the dean. I haven't said this in a long time, but I call it white land. In the wintertime, it's white on white in white. And you all know what I'm talking about. When I came, it was February. And the folks are out here making ice sculptures. I said, these people are out of their minds. There's no way in the world I can do this. I walked around Tuck, and I saw all the pictures because Tuck is the oldest business school in the country. Did you know that? And they had all the pictures of the classes from day one. Lots of senior white males. And there were no pictures of women, and there were certainly no pictures of anybody that looked like me. And when I finally got up on the second floor, I found a black male who was in the class, and way tucked on the third floor, there was a black woman. I was like, yeah, there we are. We were there, but you had to climb up the building to find us. What does all that have to do with Martin Luther King's Day celebration, junior celebration today. It means that places like Tuck, places like Dartmouth, where you least expect, are powerful, powerful places for us to learn and develop wonderful relationships with each other. It means that we can stretch and grow in ways we cannot imagine. We are ordinary people in this room. I always like to point out that it's ordinary people who make big change. I teach a course at Tuck entitled Leadership Out of the Box. It's a pretty popular course to my surprise. It's pretty radical, as you can imagine, because I'm teaching it. But the reality of it is, I tell my students the same story I told you, and they have to look at how their lifelong journeys, if you will, contributes to their leadership, their vision as leaders, how they're going to make a difference, their passion, the things that they are really committed to, and most importantly, we talk a lot about how ordinary people can make a difference. You don't have to be old to make a difference. They study young leaders, and in this class, we talk about King. It's how I do my little drop of diversity in the business school. And I'm always surprised at some of my students' responses. We have a good relationship, my students and I, so they're sometimes brutally honest. And I get responses like, well, I didn't know King had a Ph.D. I didn't know he went to BU. We didn't celebrate him in my community. My gym teacher told me, my coach told me, why celebrate that nigger? That's what they tell me. And they don't tell me to try to back me up or challenge my authority. They're trying to tell me so they can share what they've learned on their journey and how they are relearning. How they are relearning. We talk about ordinary people. Rosa Parks had no intention to begin the civil rights movement. She was just plain old tired. She didn't feel like moving to the back of the bus that particular day. Her feet hurt. That was the day she said, you know what? I am sitting still. Put me in jail. I am too tired to move. Ordinary people can do extraordinary things. Martin Luther King, Jr., when they first asked him to head up the committee, what did he tell them? First of all, I'm following in my daddy's footsteps. I'm going to get me a big black Baptist church. I've got a family. I've got a new baby. I don't have time. And quite frankly, you folks don't have your act together. No. He told them no. My students are amazed. They thought the boy was anointed to do this. Plus, he wasn't exactly the right one to lead the common people. Why? Because he had come from this unbelievable upper class in our community. He was a preacher's son, not just any old preacher at that. He was anointed to do all kinds of things, but lead everyday folks? They told him at first in divinity school that his sermons were a bit too uppity for normal people. You know what uppity means? I know I'm in Dartmouth. I got to break down my language. Nod your head in here if you know what uppity means. See, I'm so proud of you all. That's why I'm at Dartmouth, you know. People think it's color. It's not just color. He was too uppity. He was not the anointed one to speak of. But look what he did. I was recently in South Africa with my husband. We got there right when they were celebrating Nelson Mandela's passing. Oh my God, talk about ordinary. Can you imagine being locked up most of your life? And you come out and you wind up being the president of South Africa? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine taking all that hate, that anger, that rage, and being able to turn that around. Ordinary people can do great things. As we sit here today, as ordinary people, what's the great thing that we can do as individuals to make a difference? How can we connect? Might not be race. We're in New Hampshire. Might not be ethnicity. We're in New Hampshire. Could it be class? Could it be women? Could it be farmers that are not making it? Can it be displaced workers? We've got to move past this idea that Martin Luther King Jr., this day, is just about my people. Do my people need help? Oh, yeah. I look at some of our students, some of our minority students, and they're floating in this environment. They're not connecting. They're scared to use their voice. They don't know how to develop their voice. And I get the undergrads. The pups somehow find me. They come and they say, you know, how do you do what you do? So we work on voice. There's a wonderful program called Bridge. Gail Taylor is a director. She does amazing things. We try to combine her young women with the Ascent women. We bring in top corporate executives from blue chip companies to come in and learn leadership at Tuck. It's phenomenal. They're bright, they're wonderful. It looks like the United Nations in the classroom. This year we've got 27, 2 from Mexico, 1 from Germany. It's international, 1 from Singapore. It's amazing. And we actually connect them with the Bridge, the younger women, so that they can see that they too can sprout their wings. They too can make a difference. I think we have to recognize that all of us in our life journeys have seeds to be able to make a difference. And it is about making a difference. It's only sometimes 1, sometimes 2. But the commitment in our hearts to make a difference is so important. My commitment over the years is to make a difference in young men and women, they're young compared to me, who are going to enter the business world so that they understand culture, they understand diversity, they understand why women aren't advancing, they understand who's not missing at the table and why. They understand first generation. We have a lot of first generation at Tuck, surprise. They understand the power of second generation. They understand that coming out of this type of environment, that they have no choice but to make a difference. That's how I am trying to make a difference. Each of us in our roles and our contexts can do something. Wouldn't it be amazing if after this breakfast, we all had projects that we went off to for the day? Maybe Habitat for Humanity. I don't know if they do that in cold weather. I can't imagine trying to put a house up right now. But maybe their house is already up and we can do some work inside, interior work. You think, huh? Maybe go to a hunger kitchen, serve up some meals. Maybe go paint something or do something. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we came up with projects to do in the name of Martin Luther King Jr.? Wouldn't it be something if we were to stake part of our identity for being a caring institution, for being an institution that made a difference, for being an institution that didn't separate so much our administrative folks from our faculty and our students? Wouldn't that be something? Huh? Wouldn't that be something if you're a faculty person, you sat at the secretary's table? Wouldn't it be something if you were an assistant, you dared to sit at the faculty table or sit with the students? Wouldn't it be something if we could evolve a culture that said no matter who you are, we care? And we might not have great numbers, and we're working on it, but we care. And we make a difference about everyone around us and in the community where we live. Wouldn't that be powerful? Can you imagine the PR Dartmouth would get out of that for a change of pace, rather than the PR we've been getting? Wouldn't it be something to take those young men that seem to be kind of confused about these messages and put them with some of the males in this room to mentor and talk to them and help them develop some human skills, because if not, they're going to derail out there in the real world? Wouldn't it be something? I think we have to start thinking out of the box as a community. I think we have to think about how we are, what's the words that you use? Vigorous and positive in all of our actions. I think we have to move beyond the boxes that we see ourselves in. I think we might need to start looking at our lives, because everybody's got a little bit of MLK Jr. story in their lives. It's not just me. Everybody's got one part in their lives that they had to overcome something. And we need to look at those points and see, what did we learn? Well, I've got a story, and I'm the girl from the South Bronx and all that. You know what it gave me? It gave me some leadership chops. It gave me tenacity. It gave me courage. It gave me determination. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I'm adopted too, so I'm a good marginal person. I do marginality real well. Didn't understand the chops I got from that at first, but boy, I understand them now. So my point here this morning is for us to continue what we're doing and do it bigger, broader, and better. To be able to name and identify those ways that we can make a difference and to be proactive about it. It's not whether or not you come to work on MLK Day or you don't go to work or who stays home and all that. It's about how we're making a difference. What are we doing on this day? I bet you could get some negotiation wiggle room if you guys came up with, well, you know we do want to go to Habitat. You know we do want to go to a food kitchen. I bet you folks would support that. I bet you folks would get excited about that. And they would just love the PR, you know? Good PR always pushes a good thing. Major change. You got good PR, you'd be surprised what you can do. So you might want to think about that. That after this breakfast, we all march off and do something really phenomenal to make a difference. My goal today was to tell you that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. Everybody in this room is an ordinary person. And everybody in this room is capable of doing extraordinary things. My question to each of you is, what's your extraordinary thing? And how can you make it better? And then my next question is, who's sitting at your table that can help you really move your extraordinary thing forward? Because you need a community. It takes one voice, but you need a community. While we celebrate MLK today, if it wasn't for his community, if it wasn't for Rosa Parks, if it wasn't the ladies who gave out the flyers, if it wasn't the committee at church, if it wasn't the people who followed, can we give the followers an amen? Do you know what they risked? Do you know what they risked as followers? We need a course on followership, later for leadership. Need to understand why people follow. These are folks that were threatened, beat up, lost their jobs, didn't have any money coming in at all, didn't know which way, how they were going to make ends meet, but they followed. We need to understand that a little bit around here. So, in closing, what I'd like to just say Find that extraordinary thing within you. Look deeply in your life journey. Find out those places where there were ouches, those places where you felt hurt, those places where you felt you didn't belong, those places that made you angry. Because that's where that wonderful piece of, outstanding comes from. That's where your leadership chops come from. That's how you make a difference. And don't worry about your age. I'm 64 years old. I'm still making a difference. And you young ones, you've got no excuse. We need you now more than ever. Because those old ones, we're getting tired. But the reality of it is, imagine what we could do in this room. In the name, on behalf of MLK. It's so much more than a breakfast. It's Dartmouth. It's Dartmouth's history. It's green. That woman that came here 14 years ago that was trying to wonder how she was going to survive in white land, well, guess what? If you cut my arm, it would bleed green. Scares even me. Scares even me. My godson wanted to go to Michigan. I was like, what, for business school? Oh, we had a rock down, tear down in my house. So what you mean, Michigan? I'm going to Michigan. I don't know you're not. He actually accepted Michigan. I'm sorry, he accepted. I had a total meltdown. Sally Yeager, tell you. We got him in to talk. He had to pay the bill. I don't think he'll ever forgive me for that. But it's family school. I bleed green. And when they're out there sculpting the ice in front of Tuck, I'm out there judging. How do you like that? How do you like that? How do you like that? I am proud to be a member of this community. I am proud to be on faculty. I am proud and delighted to teach the students that I teach. I wish my mother could see me. I wish she could believe. If she didn't understand Yale, Dartmouth would be a stretch. But I certainly would have liked her to experience it. You make a difference where you are, where God plants you. You make a difference by just being your best. You make a difference by remembering ordinary people do extraordinary things. What's your extraordinary? Thank you. Have a great day.